What's happening, everybody? Good morning.
Good morning.
Did you like that new little intro thing? We went from the Rocky Mountains to that arch thing. I was watching a little video on that, and I was really amazed the engineering behind that and the structure, that the only way they could do it without having like supporting scaffolding was to build it up from each side and meet in the middle. And I know when I build something, and if I have two things coming from two different directions, the chances of them meeting in the middle just perfectly, like I wonder how much fudge room they had on something like that.
I mean, we learned when in school you learned about the arch.
Yeah.
So when you were like telling me, I'm like, yeah, I know that.
You know, they probably did. Epoxy. It's gap filling, right? That's probably what's holding that thing together at the top.
I absolutely love, as we're sitting here and the music is coming on, everybody's saying hi and where they're
from. Yeah.
So.
Well, hey, good morning, everybody.
Good morning, good morning, good morning.
I'm Mark, and this is Nicole. Who are you again?
I'm Nicole.
Sometimes I forget.
Yep.
I also, Nicole has a new handy tool. We took over the Kaizen foam leftover, and I think I might round it off a little bit, but this is a good club.
Kaizen foam?
Yeah, that's the name of the foam.
Okay.
It's a good club in case I say something I shouldn't say. I get a good smack. Let's see, we got a lot to cover today.
We do?
We've got some giveaways later in the show.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to be giving away a guild course. We always like to do that. We've got some backside sandpaper. What do I have? 150 grit and 400 grit. Somebody's going to get that. And then one lucky winner is going to get my trusty Lee Nielsen fishtail chisel.
Mark is cleaning up around the shop. And
yes.
Going, I have way too many chisels.
Well, I finished up the project with the table saw, right? So the table saw was looking nice and clean. I was real happy with the way that turned out. And then I'm looking around going, I've accumulated new chisels, and I'm in a good position. I'm lucky to be able to get new tools for testing. So I'm like, you know what? I want the old ones to go away. I want the new ones to come in. I was going to save this for later, but I got the other camera set up. Do you guys want to see my little chisel setup before we move on to news and stuff?
The little chisel setup?
Yeah, I want to show you.
Oh, okay.
Here, let me see if this is working today.
Maybe.
It's up there. It goes.
Oh, look at that.
So this is. Look, I'm going to show you my genius. I'm bragging here. Here's my genius.
Is this part of the cabinet build in the guild?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Well, no, not the organization, the insert, but the drawer and the cabinet under Workbench cabinet. That is part of that build in the guild.
Where do you show the organization build then?
I did a free video on it.
Oh.
Yeah, like building walnut storage. Stuff.
Fancy walnut storage. So that's the video. Okay.
So these are the new chisels. I did land on the blue spruce and finally got back to the chisels I really had my heart set on, and they let me down years ago. But since woodpeckers took them over, the steel is good. I am digging these chisels. So here's.
Do you like the handle of it?
I love the handle.
Okay, that's
so nice.
Yeah.
This is where I'm bragging on myself. I was smart enough not to make this insert permanent. So first of all, this insert can actually come out completely. This end is glued on, but that's the part that's constant. No matter what chisel you have, chances are it's going to fit in that little alcove. What changes is where your chisels are and the size of the chisels. So this strip I had in with double-sided tape.
Oh, smart.
And I was able to pull that sucker out of there yesterday and cut a new one. In fact, I used the same one. I just planed it down and cut some new grooves.
That's smart.
And my mortising chisels are now back here. Now that one, I must have used a little bit of glue because I have a little bit of damage. We're going to pretend
I see it.
That was where my genius fell off a little bit. But I was able to cut some new pieces, and now I've got a nice home for my mortising chisels and my two new fishtail chisels back there, which is why the Lee Nielsen fishtail chisel is going to a new home. Because here's the truth about a fishtail chisel. If you need one at all, you probably only need one. But I have two. So, okay, switch back to camera.
Okay. Well, somebody was asking about the cabinet, so I was going to put the link to the
that's
the plans.
It's a perfectly fitting accessory for both the split top Rubo workbench and the hybrid workbench, which are both courses in the guild if you're interested in that.
Yeah, I'll put a link in the show notes, and I'll put a link in the chat too.
So getting back to current events, how we usually start the show. You guys might recall last week I was like, my throat hurts, Nicole.
I don't feel so good.
I feel a little something. Well, guess what? It was the COVID monster coming to visit. And
which, if you watch the episode before that one, I was not well, but I tested negative.
You tested negative.
Every single time.
Nicole just let me out of COVID jail,
yeah.
which is really nice. It's good to see daylight again, and I'm glad to be here.
So just a little housekeeping at the top of the show.
Housekeeping.
We really appreciate you being here live. So I was able to turn off all the ads for the live stream. If you're watching this after, you might have an ad or two in it. But we just wanted to say there is a way for you to get your question, if you're live in the chat, kind of bumped up to the top. And those are through super chats, and you can do any amount that you want, and we really appreciate that.
Yeah, so we pull our initial questions from our Patreon supporters and our supporters on YouTube. Every week we ask, hey, you guys got any questions? We put them right here in this piece of paper. But if you want your question live on the show, ask in the chat room. If you want it to the top of the list, then you could use the super chat.
Yep.
A little word about that. There's super chat, and then there's super thanks if you're watching afterwards. This is a way for you to send a few bucks to creators to say thank you. And
so many different ways to support creators nowadays.
Yeah, there are, and it's a good thing. And what I wanted to kind of talk a little bit about is there's sometimes a fork in the road. We'll talk more about this in the future because there's a big change coming into the guild that relates to this. But you reach a fork in the road, and perhaps you guys have seen this with other people you follow on YouTube, where suddenly they're different. They're doing things, maybe you don't like it as much. The channel has evolved into a thing that is maybe not your favorite. What winds up happening is these platforms encourage and reward people like us for following a certain playbook.
Trend.
And certain trends or whatever the algorithm dictates is the thing to do. Well, you have a choice. You could either do it or you could not do it. And the problem is, for a lot of people, not doing it isn't a choice. You have to do it because they have a business and they need to survive. So they do the kind of content that just does well. Do you know what this show does for us every single time?
Lose subscribers.
We lose subscribers every time we do it.
But we know how much a lot of you that are participating really enjoy it.
And we enjoy it.
We enjoy it.
And I feel like sometimes the stats are a red herring depending on the structure of your business.
Yeah.
I think you guys are really like the core of the people who follow what we do and like what we do. So why would we not want to do the show just because we lose some subscribers who were not part of that core? That's totally okay.
Yeah.
So what I'm telling you is that fork in the road is we're at it, and we can make a choice right now where we could go down the path of making the content that we know will do well, but not necessarily make our fans happy and make the people who like us happy.
Penas, you're not trendy?
No.
No.
Turns out we're not, surprisingly.
Not, surprisingly. But we just got a super chat.
Well, and even after all this time, it's really tempting to go, like, I know what to do, guys. Like, I know if I wanted to get to 1 million subs, I know exactly what to do. Am I going to do it?
Probably not.
Probably not. And the thing that stops that is your direct support, right? So we don't ask for the super chats. It's not something you do it. It's really cool. We always appreciate it, but we don't ask for it. Today, I'm asking for it. If you want to support what we do and you want us to keep making the kind of content we've been making for almost 20 years, that's the way to do it, because direct support insulates us from the BS that is the algorithm, right? And you guys are part of that.
Yep.
The guild is also part of that, and we have an announcement next week coming up related to something in the guild that's going to be pretty cool.
You're pulling a Johnson.
Pulling a big Johnson here. So that is my PBS supporting pitch. And unfortunately, we don't have tote bags right now.
No, not yet.
To give out.
We have Richard. He said the unsubscribed are the weak.
We get the weak off of the list. Just sort them out. We don't need them. Okay. Do we want to talk about? Let's see. You want to get right into the questions?
Well, no. I want to do. You were talking about super chat, and we got a super chat from Doug.
Boom, baby.
He just said, "Can you show us and talk about your new under table saw cabinet? Is it
I was
done?"
I was kind of trying to wait on that, because I don't want to say too much because it's not ready. It's coming to the guild.
Can you use the
I absolutely can.
little camera?
I'll turn it around.
All
Don't
right.
switch yet.
I won't switch.
I don't want to make people sick. I'll give you the best view I possibly can here without disrupting things.
All right.
All right, you can switch views.
All right, here we go. Just for you, Doug.
And again, it's just kind of giving it away a little too soon because it's not really ready, but I guess we could
This
tease
is like
it.
sneak peeking.
Yeah, how's the view? I can't tell.
I think it looks great.
Okay, good. So down here,
Oh, now I just see your face.
sorry, that's my blade storage. I opted for this because I came up with this solution I say came up with it. I'm not the first person to invent storing blades like
but
this.
you've been working on this design since 2007.
Yeah, let's go with that, Nicole. I made it in 2007 and didn't think about it again until 2024. But I kind of like this, and the video and everything will go into why I think this is a favorable way to store the blades, but absolutely love it in that sort of file cabinet format. Got 2 small drawers here, especially if you're a saw stop weirdo like me. You want a place to store your extra brakes. I've got my micro jig grippers, kind of in a nice little custom drawer.
I like the aesthetic of this.
Yes, I wanted to match the black aesthetic of the saw stop, and I think it looks.
Is that wall control on the side too?
Badass. No, it's not wall control. I couldn't find wall control panels in the sizes I wanted. These are on Amazon.
Gotcha.
But it is metal pegboard. This is obviously not real organized, but you got to have a drawer that just has crap in it, right? Next drawer.
It's called the junk drawer in my house.
Yes, exactly. So there's a little woodpecker's blade gauge set, and then all of my inserts for the table saw. And then this is the moneymaker, Nicole.
Ooh, is that where this foam came from?
Yep.
Oh.
So I have 2 dado stacks because I wanted to try the Ridge Carbide dado stack, and I like the idea of having a backup, because if you break one of these, it's one thing to have a backup standard blade, but if I'm in the middle of making dado cuts and I slap that thing into the saw stop break, I don't want to be out of commission for a few days until I get a new dado stack. So I actually have 2, but the reason I did this, a lot of people are like, oh, it's kind of wasteful, isn't it? You're taking up a lot of space. But what I'm gaining here is exceptional convenience. I have a place for both my chippers, my regular blades, and I could set up my dado stacks and not have the crap on top of the table saw.
Are these all dado stacks here?
Yeah, so it's just 2 different brands. This collectively is the Forest Dado King, and collectively this is the Ridge Carbide set, right? So I separated these because
you need so many dados.
You always need to grab these guys separately from the other ones, and usually they're in like a big stack. So you have to take everything out to get the stack set up, and I don't like having to do that.
Well, Dennis wants to know, where are the push sticks?
Okay, can you switch cameras? Because unless people,
Yeah. I'll switch over. You get to see me, so you don't get sick.
I just don't want people to get seasick. I know there's no stabilization.
Why don't you take the stand?
No, because I'm not going to be here long.
All right.
I'll hold it as still as I can.
Ready?
Okay.
Oh, okay.
So I have 2 sheets of pegboard, metal pegboard, one on each side. And I wanted that mostly to be able to have magnetic things have a home, right? So all of my magnetic feather boards, mag switch stuff, and then of course it's pegboard. So you could see my my little push stick over there too. It is propped up with those little
the black little
adjustable
feet that you showed.
So it's all part of the theme, and you could just kind of see it really looks like it's meant to be there.
It does. That's pretty slick.
Okay,
All right,
switch back.
Cool.
Watch my head. Woo!
Mike said, how many blades do you keep on hand for your saws? I feel like I hold on to too many blades rather than throw old ones away.
Well, that's why you see 150 blades in that drawer.
This is why I was like, why you got so many blades? Why is the question so...
So people can see it.
Oh, okay.
And someone complained last week that the text was too small in the questions. They're there temporarily.
I just wonder why it was not coming down here.
Because it gets too close to the other text.
Gotcha.
You want people to see it.
We're
putting it there because we want them to read it, Nicole.
Yes.
So who cares if it blocks your face?
If I can't read, I can't hear. That's why I have subtitles on when I watch shows, because I can't hear it. It's a thing. I bet you there's somebody watching going, I know what she's talking about.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Gotta have the subtitles on so I can hear what they're saying.
And one more thing, I did notice someone asked about my Japanese chisels. I can't find that. If you could find the question.
Yeah.
So someone asked, why did I get rid of the Japanese chisels? It was the same reason I have a woodpecker's router table, and I had the Jessam router table before. It's because...
It was Jeanine's. Oh, look at a puppy dog.
There you go. Part of my job is experimenting with different tools so I could learn about them, talk to you guys about them, and have an informed opinion on them. I absolutely love my Japanese chisels. There's just so much heart in a Japanese chisel that's really nicely crafted, and it's so it's tough to find words for. It just doesn't look...
Are you sad that you got rid of them?
A little bit,
Yeah.
because I liked them. I thought they were very special. Everything about the blue spruce, as gorgeous as they are, it's very clearly something that came off of an assembly line. And maybe the Japanese ones did too, but generally the Japanese chisels,
Are handmade,
the more
right?
expensive you get, the names are associated with the family that made them,
Mm-hmm.
But that's also a brand. Right? But I just don't get the feeling that it's like being churned out in the same way that regular chisels are, from these other brands. So it wasn't that it was a performance thing. It was an opportunity to try something else. And then just like I found out with this switch, when I switch chisels and I end up with a bunch extra, I don't like just keeping them around. I want them to go to people who can use them. I have multiple chisel sets that I think this afternoon are going to go into the Guild Facebook group and offered for sale, because what am I doing with them? They're literally, I have like 4 or 5 sets of chisels that have either been sent to me or that I purchased over time, especially the expensive ones. Those are ones that I bought, and that's why I'm trying to recuperate my investment.
So if you're a Guild member and you're not in that Guild Facebook group, after the show, I'll check to see if I have any more requests, but you just go in there, ask to join, provide your email, and I'll verify your membership.
I see super chats coming in, but can we do this one thing for the Scotch-Brite real quick?
Sure.
So David wrote in, this was a couple weeks ago. You guys remember we talked about Scotch-Brite?
Yeah, we did.
And someone asked about grit equivalents, and I said, I don't know. Well, this is from David Kopax, or David K in the chat. He said, I created this small poster to toss in the box with my abrasives, and since I now have such a thing, I can share it with you and your viewers. If you pop them up on the screen, people can just take a screenshot, or you can post them on your website, whatever works. As far as the various Scotch-Brite pads go, I have a few of each of the first 4 on the list. I don't think that I've ever seen the last 3 while shopping. Oh, and I'm not sure where I got the information that's on the list. I didn't make it up, but I've had it for so long that I forgot where it came from. I'm just one of those geeky people who likes to have all the info where I need it at hand, so I tend to latch onto anything that appears useful. It's a blessing and a curse.
I like how you think, Dan.
So if we can...
Or no, David.
David.
Sorry,
yeah.
David.
Nice job, Dan. We're gonna make this available. It's just a JPEG.
Yeah.
So if you guys want to print that out, I love that, because I don't know what the equivalents are. But here's the best thing about it. We can't verify that it's correct. So good luck. I looked at the numbers. They seem about right.
They seem about right.
Here we are, sharing info that's unverified.
Yeah, well.
That's just what we do here.
Okay. It seems to work for David.
It's working for David.
It's working for David. It's going to work for us. Thank you, Robert Price, for the nice super chat.
Thank you, Robert.
Just for giving me the PBS nostalgia warm and fuzzies. I promise I was typing this before you said PBS.
Oh, that's great. Yeah,
That's
I had to go
awesome.
PBS on you guys. If we had a title for the show, it would be the PBS show.
The PBS show.
You want to jump?
Oop.
Okay.
No.
Robert gets a double bonus there. So here, Les wrote in. He says, I have a question for Ava.
These came from Patreon.
Yeah, this is on Patreon. I have a question for Ava. Did your dad fix the goofy wire behind the mirror in your vanity? If so, what did he do with it? If not, how can you allow him to be such a slacker? Ava's answer. All right, a guy named Les wants to know if your dad ever fixed the goofy wire that's behind that door.
I think so.
You think so?
Yes.
Let's double check. Open it up. I don't think I fixed it.
Dang.
Is it okay though? It still works just fine, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, no problems.
Squishy!
Yeah, all your squishies look just fine in there.
These aren't squishies.
No.
These are.
Okay, say bye, Ava.
Boo-boo!
All right, so as you can see,
She doesn't care.
she doesn't care. She didn't even know what I was talking about.
And she's like, look at my squishies.
So I figured, you know what? You ask Ava a question, Ava's going to answer that question.
That's pretty great. We got a super chat from Adam. Thanks for fighting the stats and bringing back the morning show. It's always been a highlight for me. Oh, thanks, Adam.
We're glad to do it, Adam. Thank you for supporting us, because honestly, it's the support, and I hate to put dollar values on it, but that's another metric that we have to look at. We're a business. We got
employees.
Look, Todd's expensive. Todd is our editor in Texas, and that boy needs to, he's got to have tacos, and he's got to have equipment, and he's a very expensive man to keep around.
Send him to all around filming amazing guild projects.
Yeah, I mean, we
So-
have a vision. We have a vision for what we're creating here, and it really is tough when the platform keeps saying, no, do this other thing. Do it this way. Do it the way those people are doing it. And we're like, but I don't want to, because that sucks. Okay. What do we got next?
We got
another super chat?
Yeah, I got a super chat here from Chris Ham. I had my 3 and 4-year-old girls paint my shop furniture, and I wanted to give it some protection. Shellac?
Well, Chris, what kind of paint did you use? Because a lot of times paint is enough.
I'm thinking, but do you remember you and Mateo doing the little table for woodworkers fighting cancer? And then you wanted to protect all of that? What did you use for that?
Well, and a lot of this comes down to compatibility. Some finishes that you put on top of like a water-based latex or acrylic paint may not behave the way you think they're going to. They also may change the color of the paint. So there's a lot of info we don't have yet from him in terms of what's the paint, what's the color.
I'll get, if you want.
I don't think I'm going to be able to go into all the detail
no.
though. So bottom line is look into what top coats might be compatible with that. If you're using something like an acrylic-based finish, you might want to use an acrylic clear top coat. Things like High Performance from General Finishes or Polycrylic in the Minwax line. You want to put something that's compatible that is not going to change the color. And if it's a lighter color, you really got to be careful about that because you want to stay water white. You don't want to do something that turns a white color yellow, right? That would be bad news. What I did on that project was different though. That was lacquer and pigments.
Yeah.
So I just used titanium white pigment in the lacquer and then top coated it with the same lacquer just with no pigment to provide that extra protection.
Yeah.
But again, I'm going to stress, you may not need anything because paint in and of itself, once fully cured, especially certain kinds of paint, super durable and there's no need for a top coat.
Everybody is appreciative of the Scotch-Brite chart. And John...
Well, thank David.
Ulrich.
Ulrich.
It says, I like the blue ones for removing nubs in between shellac coats, since we were just talking about shellac. So.
Okay.
All right, hey.
I got a comment from Alan.
I got a super chat saying, support Todd's taco habit.
That sounds like a t-shirt idea, if you ask me. Todd,
Thank you.
tacos are on us.
Gentura? How are you saying that?
Don't know. DavidKK?
DavidKK. I'm going to attempt, kind of like Cremona.
Just go for it.
Attempts at saying names.
Yeah.
I'll attempt.
Alan wrote in, he said, I used to be a big fan of Minwax Wipe on Poly. I believe they reformulated it last year, and now it behaves totally differently than in the past. It's a poor performer in terms of drying time and dry film thickness building per coat. So I'm now on a mission to make my own mix of poly, mineral spirits, and a touch of Japan dryer, as well as a touch of soy-based lecithin as an emulsifier. Have you gone this far to making your own? Can you offer any advice? I didn't know this. So I don't use Minwax Wipe on Poly enough.
You just used it last week, right?
I used it last week for a little bit of a demo, but that's an
with
old
the
can.
pads.
I would say though that can was probably purchased within the last year. So, but my point is I don't use it enough to necessarily say, yeah, I've seen this too. I don't know anything about this. But to your point about making your own, go ahead, man. Find a good quality polyurethane. Use mineral spirits to dilute it. Japan dryer if you must. You don't really have to. That can sometimes cause more harm than good. But try it and see if it really does improve dry time and cure time for you. The confusing thing I have here is you're going to use soy lecithin as an emulsifier. And maybe you know something about this that I don't. Please correct me if that's the case. But I don't know why you're putting an emulsifier in a finish like this. So you have your oil-based poly. You've got your solvent, which is your mineral spirits that will dilute just fine. There's no problems with bringing those two together. An emulsifying agent is typically used when you have two incompatible liquids going together. Think salad dressing. Okay, so you have oil and vinegar that don't want to mix. So we add a little bit of egg yolk, a little bit of mustard, a little bit of honey. These are things that are emulsifiers. So when you then blend it, it kind of keeps it in solution and keeps those things mixed. I don't see a need for that if you're doing something like this with two compatible, a solvent and a material that's compatible with that solvent. So think about whether or not you really need to add that to it. I just don't know that you do. But that's my only commentary on that because I don't know what Minwax is up to.
Do you remember Josh Doodle?
Of course I remember
He's
Josh
in the
Doolittle.
chat.
What's up, man?
So I Last week someone
Wasn't Josh Doolittle the one who the QoS guy?
QoS.
Let's go back to QoS.
And he did all of the spreadsheets. So somebody asked last week about the spreadsheets.
Yes.
It was Dan, and Dan sent me. He goes, "I didn't make these, but these have been great." And so I requested access. I'm like, "That's right, Josh did these." So
Yes.
I've been talking to Josh.
Oh, Josh is back. Well, hey, Josh, how's it going, man?
Hey, thanks
I
again.
hope my voice holds up today.
Yeah. Well,
this
you
is
guys-
asking a lot.
Yeah.
Okay. I do have one more in-depth question.
Okay.
So I don't know if you have other
I
things
have
you want to do
I
first.
have many super chats
Well, let's-
from
let's-
very generous patrons.
Let's keep our promise and answer those
Yes.
questions.
We got one from Jim Ashley, the Wood Lab. Pitchforks and torches against the algorithm.
Yeah, Jim, how's your Facebook account going? I think he got, not hacked,
Yeah.
but I think he had a couple imposters or something. You know how they do that? They'll copy your account.
We had somebody on TikTok impersonating him,
Yeah, look, guys,
And-
there only needs to be one of me. I mean,
and it was,
too many.
I think it was Wood Whisper _, and they
Yeah.
took almost all of his TikTok videos, and he had like 10,000 subs, and I'm like,
The account did, yeah.
what? But we had a lot of friends reach out and say, hey, somebody just friended me. I
Well,
don't
look,
think this is you.
I don't know if you guys heard, but there is a way to buy subs
Oh, yes.
and to buy views
Yeah.
and to buy likes. I'm not saying other people are doing it, and I'm not going to name names, but people are doing it.
If you have Max, which is HBO Max, look for a documentary called Fake Famous. It's enlightening. Like how easy.
Matt Cremona's life story.
How easy it is, not just to buy subs and follows, but to also engage the comments.
Yeah,
Like, boom.
you missed my joke. Go ahead.
What's your joke?
I made fun of
Cremona.
Matt. Yeah.
Well, I just wanna,
You just-
I tuned that out.
It wasn't that funny enough for you? Gotcha, okay. You know, we actually talked about the Cremonas
Yeah.
the first time we came
Yes.
back and said something about their
Like, go
show.
watch their show in the evening.
Look.
But they're not doing the show.
Matt is one of my best friends. I had no idea that they're not doing that show. It seems like they're not doing it anymore. But so don't go watch them.
Yeah.
Or maybe go watch the back episodes because they're probably really good.
Garage Shop Woodworking did a super chat. I recently bought a 32 by 32 cut area CNC.
Cool.
Oh, that's nice. Are there any good guild projects that would implement the use of CNC?
Yeah, and
Fremont
especially
bed, right?
yeah, but not on a 32 by 32.
No, is that too small?
Yeah.
Okay.
Littleton Console. The Littleton Console is a project that I was exploring, you know, back in my CNC Curious days, Nicole.
CNC. That would be the name of the show, CNC Curious.
My CNC
Maybe
Curious
we've already
days.
done that show title.
Most likely did.
Maybe.
Old joke. So in that one, I wanted to get real nitpicky about my templates and grain orientation and spacing between my components. It was real scientific. So even if you don't necessarily want to build that course, that one in particular will show you a lot of how I went through SketchUp and then exporting my files to make the vector files to show how doable this thing was via CNC.
Your arm hair is tickling me.
Got a lot of it. You want some more?
Littleton Console.
You should try my
I'll
back
put it-
hair. It's even softer. So Littleton Console, there may be more, but ultimately that is one where I believe CNC was part of the conversation a little bit more, which
Yeah.
is not typical.
Do you have any projects on the main site dealing with CNC? I can't remember.
Yes. So on the free side of things, there's a video
I
called
call them main site.
the main site is called End Table Deep Dive, where I made an end table very focused on CNC making templates and making even a mortising template for through mortise and tenon joints. That's another one on the YouTube side of things.
Gotcha.
Okay, I've got a pretty involved question. Shall we, or you got more?
Can I do a couple more?
Yep.
We have one from Ryan. Pair character dancing. Oh,
It's interpreting the little.
So we use Ecamm Live, and the way that they bring the questions in, they will. So if you put an image in, it will describe it in detail.
it describes what the person used.
You
as an
are
icon.
amazing, Ryan. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Ryan. We really appreciate your lovely description of a emoticon.
Emoticon dancing.
Yeah. Okay,
All right.
keep going.
All right. Daniel K said, tacos for Todd.
He's hashtagging it. All right, I like that. Tacos for Todd. Todd's probably not watching. He's going to be very excited later to find out about his tacos.
I'm going to send Todd a gift certificate for Chipotle. How about that?
The good news is it's tacos. The bad news, it's Taco Bell.
No, I'm not going to give them Taco Bell. I'm going to give them Chipotle or Qdoba.
Okay.
Or you know what? It's Texas. I bet you if I look around, there's probably some really good.
He probably has tacos.
Yeah.
Like capital T tacos down there.
Capital T tacos.
Okay. So I have a couple of things that are going to
Yeah.
help me here.
Do you want me to click
So
on
go ahead
the-
and do the dining table picture.
Okay.
So this is a dining table with breadboard ends. It's a table I built for my mom. This is a course in the guild. Right now it is free if you want to go check that out. John has some questions about this. He said, it looks like you routed the mortises and the legs in one pass. I've seen recommendations of no more than a 1/4 inch should be taken out in one router pass. Is that too conservative? Did you have trouble going the full inch? Go back to like the regular. Or no, actually go back to the picture.
Oh.
Yeah, the white one.
Okay, I didn't go
Okay,
back to
so
it.
this is what that tenon looks like. That is a 3/8 inch thick tenon. And what he's looking at is the length of that tenon is 1 inch. It goes 1 inch deep into the adjoining leg. And is that too much? An inch is a lot. But if you do the method that I typically do in a case like that is I will plunge at the beginning of the mortise, plunge at the end of the mortise, and then I'm just clearing the space between there. Is it better to take it in smaller cuts? Yeah, but can a good quality plunge router handle that in one shot? Probably, especially if you have good dust collection on it. It's not a bad thing. So you will over time learn the limitations of your equipment and what it can do, and you can listen. And a lot of times if you do something and it's chattering too much and it's causing too much of a problem, you'll know it and you can correct for that. If you've gone too deep, you know it. So apparently in Cherry, in that particular board, at that particular time and using that particular bit, I did not have a problem or any concerns about it, but you are right to be concerned. It's a good rule of thumb to just not go too deep, right?
Everybody is saying Torchy's Tacos in Texas.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
That's a mouthful. Torchy's Tacos.
Torchy's Tacos
in Texas.
in Texas. He says, why not make the tenons longer? Wouldn't that strengthen the joint? Go back to that white picture. So look at what's happening there. If you look at that diagram on the right, that is actually the orientation of the legs with the rails with the leg removed. So those two, there's a note that says chamfer tenons so that they don't hit each other when installed in the leg. So if you want to know why we didn't go deeper, because they're already touching. They're touching so much that the two mortises you make in that leg will peek into each other and the tenons will kiss just at the corner, right? So you chamfer them, that lets it go just a little bit deeper, but they don't collide with one another. So the reason we don't go deeper is because you can't go deeper. If you go any deeper, you're just going to have a collision between tenons inside that leg and then overall weaken the leg. So go back to our camera.
Oh, our camera.
Yep. His third, this is why I said it's a little bit in depth. Third part of his question, some table plans call for a stub tenon. You can
Which
hit
is
that.
this one?
Yeah. Or also known as a haunched tenon. That extends up to the top of the leg. What is the rationale for that? Why not just extend the full tenon all the way up? It wouldn't be seen under the tabletop. If the tenon goes all the way up, maybe it could easily be made on a router table, just plowed through to a stop, maybe in several passes. So you see what a haunch tenon is. It's like a regular tenon, but you notch the end of it, and then you just kind of have that little stub that goes all the way to the top. Now, the reason you do this, typically, is it is a anti-twist preventative sort of thing. With that tenon, as wide as the board, you can be absolutely sure that that rail or apron or whatever that is not going to twist. Right? That's the reason you do it. But you don't necessarily want to go full depth because that really makes the piece it's going into kind of weak and open-ended. So that's the reason why you wouldn't want to run your full tenon all the way to the top, because it really does sort of weaken the adjoining piece. Now you could, once you glue it back in, it's probably going to be okay, but you're just you're almost making like a bridle joint to an extent at that point, which on certain pieces isn't going to make a whole lot of sense. So that's what a haunched tenon would look like.
Haunched.
And you could certainly do something like that with these legs, but ultimately, if you have a good quality, nice tight-fitting mortise and tenon joint, like I've constructed it there, going a 1 inch deep into those legs, it's going nowhere, people. It's going nowhere, right? So you can get as fancy as you want. You can nitpick as much as you want. Try to get really let's get the most out of it. Absolutely can be worth doing, but understand it's really only adding you another 2% of strength that doesn't really amount to a whole lot, if that makes sense.
Homer
Hey,
Simpson.
there's a wasp up there.
Oh, get away from that. HomerSimpson is in the chat. Did a nice super chat. So it just says from Homer.
Well, that's donut money he's sacrificing there.
You know what?
Thanks, Homer.
So Mateo went to DC this week. Mm-hmm. But before we went, we actually brought donuts for everybody. It was we did 4 dozen donuts for all the teachers and students.
That's a lot of donuts.
So it was a lot of donuts, but it made me think of HomerSimpson.
Well, he just offset the cost of 4 dozen donuts. Thank you. I didn't know we did that.
Chris Ham, oh yeah, I do a lot of stuff you don't know about. Chris Ham said tempura paint on his initial.
That means nothing to me.
No, it was the question up here.
I know what it's in reference to. I don't know what tempera paint is.
It's like a arts and craft paint.
Okay.
So
probably like an acrylic?
Yeah, well, and it seems to come off with water pretty easily.
Oh, that's not good.
No. Because it's always like the paints that like the art teachers will use because it's a cheap paint.
But it reactivates after it dries?
I think it does.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure because I have some tempera paints.
Well, and then you wouldn't want to use something water-based. That might be why his initial question was shellac.
Right.
Well, shellac has alcohol, and alcohol generally, a lot of times, will have some water in it, so you would have to be careful. You'd have to experiment because if you go, you might be looking at something
maybe
like
somebody in the
lacquer.
chat might have a suggestion.
A lacquer might be a good option, but obviously you're not going to want to go water-based, and be careful with the alcohol because there might be some water in the alcohol.
No, who's calling me? A telemarketer. Go away.
That person.
Jake did a Shiba dog shaking his hips saying thank you.
Hey, a description works just as well. Thank you, Jake. Really appreciate that, man.
Jake. And Jeannie Stone, really enjoy watching the morning show. Thanks for staying away from the trends. Thank you, Jeannie.
Jeanine.
Jeanine, sorry.
Just making up names now.
I'm just making up.
It's just all part of the service we provide.
It's funny because I didn't realize I could favorite things. Like I'm just now learning the software of Ecamm.
What does favoriting do?
It puts it in this tab for favorites, so I can.
So you could favorite it
yeah.
and go back to it?
So like for instance,
look at this.
GW Metcham said, I bought some of the Makr Spongy things you mentioned last week. Love it. Used it with water-based poly.
See, now I didn't have great luck with water-based. I did try to warn you not to do that, but you did it anyway. And if you got good results, then that's great to hear.
Yeah.
I was afraid he was going to say that I got terrible results because I tried to make sure you didn't do that.
Yeah.
Maybe let me know more about how it went because like I said, I didn't have luck with a water-based material.
Yeah. And that discount is still there. So if you do decide you want to get those pads, TWW will get you 15% off. Mm-hmm. Jonathan Brand, I live in Iowa. My shop does not have AC. Dude, I'm sweating right now because we turned off the AC. I'm a little sweaty. I brought a saw stop last year and it already has started developing rust from humidity. Would you still recommend the carbon method you used on your saw surface?
Yeah, everything that I have seen so far with the carbon method material being applied to my stuff, the tests that I ran, and now that's the thing, tests are tests. We can do all kinds of things to say, oh, it worked, it didn't work. The biggest test is time. Put it on there, use the tool, see what happens, because you're actually like wearing it off the surface, right? So what really happens in a shop? And from what I've seen, it's holding up great. I would expect in this climate, I would have to like if I were just doing wax, maybe a little T9 bow shield, like the classic way I used to do things, I would imagine by now I would have had to reapply some to my table saw. I haven't touched my table saw. I haven't touched it at all. So at this point, I'm a believer in it, and I'm glad that we did, partner with them on a few things because I was a little bit apprehensive partnering with a company promising this great new thing for rust prevention. It was pretty expensive without knowing for sure. And I tried to disclose that I can't tell you 100% that this is great. I can tell you it's working right now, but it does support, what they claim at least so far with what I'm seeing.
We've been in the shop 2+ years now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm pretty happy with it so far. I do think it's a good investment for protecting your cast iron if you don't want to babysit the damn stuff.
Yeah. Josh wanted to know if I got his email. I did. So Josh was one of the winners of the hat. I just got Mark to sign the hat. if you want, I think you wanted it signed. I just signed them both. So I'll get those in the mail. In fact, I'm due to get everybody's stuff out in the mail. But he was donating his guild project back. So we're going to give away two
okay.
today.
Well, you'd be glad to know I waited, until I was less contagious before signing your hat.
I put it in I gave him the pen and put it in a box and made him sign.
Like the rubber glove inside the plexiglass box.
All right, we got a super chat from Lane. What honing guide do you use on your chisels? Last week I saw a diagonal bevel on your chisel. I thought that comes from using Lee Valley Guide, but I thought you switched over.
I did. So you're talking about the micro bevel being at a diagonal. Sometimes that's not because the honing guide is holding you at the wrong angle. It's sometimes because the way it was ground at the factory was not correct and was not a dead 90. So you are reestablishing 90 degrees, which when you look at it from a distance, looks like the micro bevel is off, when in fact it was the original bevel that was off and now you're correcting it. So that might be what you saw. What I've been using, and I don't even know the current status of it, is Woodpecker's system.
Ooh. Oh, it's just a fly.
Yeah, no, that wasp, he stays at the ceiling. You'll be all right, Nicole. And I hesitate to recommend it because I remember it being fairly pricey, and I know there are so much, less expensive ways to get good results, but I keep going back to that damn woodpecker setup. I like it. I really like what they've done, and it holds the blades and bits in a way that I really like. What I don't love is that you have to kind of reconfigure the wheels depending on the width of the chisel versus a plain iron, and I don't even know if they still sell it. Does Woodpecker still sell their sharpening system? Because it's woodpeckers, and sometimes it's a one-time tool.
And they kind of like...
And do I think you need that? No, that's the problem. Do I think you need it, and would I have bought it? No. They sent it to me as a promotional thing. The problem is I keep going back to it because every time I want to go to something that's less expensive or maybe a little more run-of-the-mill or in some cases available, because it might not be available with woodpeckers, I keep finding myself gravitating back to their system because it gives me much more reliable 90-degree bevels, and I just like it. So that's my answer. Do I think you need that? No. I mean, every company now seems to have their own little honing guide, and they have the really, really tiny ones. Lee Nielsen has them. Lee Valley sells them. I think Blue Spruce has one. Everybody's got one. They're all going to sharpen your chisels, right? We don't need to get nuts about it. It's just like someone dumped a really nice, half gallon of ice cream in front of me and tells me not to eat it. It's going to be hard for me not to eat it, especially if it's my favorite flavor.
Cookies and cream?
Cookies and cream or coffee.
Oh yeah,
depending on the day.
You like coffee.
I like a good vanilla, but if it's a custard, not necessarily just vanilla, boring vanilla ice cream, it's got to be custard.
We got a super chat from
DavidKK.
DavidKK again. Got to go into lurk mode. Out building my new shop. Keep up the great content. You inspire me to pursue this wonderful passion.
Well, good for you. Building a new workshop, like literally building a workshop?
Yeah.
Awesome.
That's
cool. Great. There's nothing like it. A lot more fun than buying a firehouse.
People were having some buffering issues, but it seems like if you refresh, it should be okay.
So our internet here is, standard cable internet. We pay for like the highest tier we can get. And we are connected with a cable. So there's only so much we can do to affect that. Yeah, we're always connected.
Okay.
I always go with a hardwire. We are this close to having fiber. And they put the box on the wall
right
and then
there.
And they realize like, oh, our bad, it's across the street. So more construction has to happen to bring it over here. And we're the only building that will benefit from them doing that construction.
Yep.
So we're real low priority.
Yep.
But we are on the list, and man, I hope it happens because the service we have at the house, fantastic.
Yep.
Like we could be streaming in 4K and it would be crystal clear and no problem.
CMC wants to know, do we plan to do interviews in the near future? I saw Chris Schwarz, one from years ago. It would be a good follow-up.
So part of what's coming to the Guild is revitalizing some things that have gone by the wayside. So this will not be just a general wood whisperer thing. This would be inside the Guild. There will be more information on this coming, but interviews will be part of that.
I'm already scheduling out and booking. I'm the booker, I guess. So if you are a Guild member and you would like to hear an interview from a certain woodworker, let me know.
Yeah.
But for right now, just getting everybody on the schedule, we're going through all of the instructors first.
Yeah, we're going to circle back. This
Yeah.
year, we're not adding any new instructors. We really just want to go back to the people who've been with us for a while, and especially people we haven't heard from in a while. Coincidentally, asking about Jory, yes, I would like to. I haven't talked to Jory, but I don't. There's no reason we can't. So if there's a particular project of his that you're interested in, let me know, and we could see if we could set something like that up.
Yep. Nicole is a random
name generator.
I really am.
She sure is.
I really do. I was recommending the show on Netflix, Chaos, and I called Jeff Goldberg.
Yeah.
I don't know why, I just do. I
Good
just gotta
Nicoleisms.
I have a fill in the blank kind of brain.
Yeah.
So, well.
I'm done with everything I had
we're done with everything
pre-selected.
here. Do you have,
Want to do giveaways?
Oh yeah, we can do giveaways. That would be good.
Do you want to hit me with a piece of foam?
Oh, somebody did tell us what the paint is. It's a
Egg tempera. I mean, this sounds
permanent fast drying
sounds like we're
paint,
talking about food.
medium. I know it does, right? Mixed with water soluble binder medium.
Almost sounds like milk paint.
It smells like milk paint. I don't like the smell of it.
Yeah.
Anytime I've used it with the kids, I'm like, ooh, I don't like the smell of this.
And typically, I would imagine companies that make that paint might even offer some kind of a sealant or a top coat that's compatible with those paints. So maybe look at that too. Man, my head is like, whew.
Yeah. What is Les talking about? Bookie?
Booker or bookie?
We're not sure what you mean.
I don't know.
Les.
Hey, guess what I did all week? My video game friends out there. I forced myself to play like 35 hours of Star Wars Outlaws.
Do you like it now?
I've got thoughts.
Okay.
I don't think I'm going to share them now because there's not enough people that care. But boy, do I have thoughts.
I'm still playing Fallout 76.
I try to remind Nicole that there are other games.
There are other games, but
She bought a PS5 so she could play one game. It's a Fallout 76 machine.
here's the thing about Fallout 76. For everybody's like, oh, I wish they would make Fallout games. I wish they'd make Fallout. They are. They're making Fallout games. Like, I just got a new part of the game in the game.
Nobody cares.
I care. All right, so we're going to give away the chisel, the
Yeah.
sandpaper, and 2 guild projects.
All right, well, let's start picking.
So if you would like the chisel, you can say
Chisel.
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 This is actually a great little chisel.
What is it?
So a fishtail chisel, if you're unfamiliar, is something that's very handy for cleaning out dovetails. I mean, you might find other things. If there's an inside corner where a normal chisel might mangle the adjoining faces of what you're trying to get into, this shape is really handy for getting in there without doing that, right? So the most common use for this is something like a half-blind dovetail, where you can get into those little corners and those angles, and your normal chisel, just because of the square shape of that chisel and the fact that the side is, the 2 parallel sides, you'll never get in there without mangling something. So something like this just makes that clean out a whole lot easier. And honestly, they make these in different sizes, but you really only need one. Like I have 2 now because Blue Spruce sent me 2, but I don't see why you would ever need it.
Is this the Blue Spruce one?
Nope, this is Lee Nielsen.
Lee Nielsen. Lee Nielsen.
Yep. So I think I may have got sick of the handle popping out, so I did glue it in. It's a socket chisel, and socket chisels generally, seasonal changes, it might pop out. You could use a little hairspray on there or something to help solidify it, but mine is, I don't know if it's permanent, but it is attached. And it is really nicely sharpened, actually, now that I look at it.
Hey, I just want to let you know that Brent plays Fallout 76 too.
Well, then maybe you and Brent can go talk about it. Give him your number. You guys can talk about
I'm on-
all the great things happening in the world of Fallout 76.
I'm not the only one. You make me feel like I'm the only one playing that game.
No, it's you and Brett on the server and a bunch of NPCs. That's what's going on. Let's be honest here.
All right.
And it's
so-
people like you that stop the next game from coming out because you make
People
them.
like me.
They're so busy satisfying weirdos like you that want to keep playing that game.
I love it so much.
Okay.
It's a Fallout game.
Let's give away a chisel.
Okay, let's
Ready?
give away-
Pick one. Man, I'm so lightheaded
Oh no. Okay.
and so sinusy.
Okay, go.
Okay, stop.
Let's see. Heartwood Workshop.
Heartwood Workshop. Look at
Chisel,
that.
chisel.
Chisel, baby.
Was it
Chisel me, Spags.
like Snoop Dogg? Chisel.
No, it was your brother.
Was it? It was my brother.
Yeah, there's a whole thing where he would just go chisel.
Chisel. All right, Heartwood.
Do you know how long it took me to get him to say those words for that? He could, as soon as he knew he was being filmed,
Yeah.
he couldn't get the words
I get
out.
it.
He would go, chisel.
I get it.
It was like that old couple in the buttery, flaky crust.
Buttery, flaky crust.
Yeah, like as soon as you think about it, you just can't get the words out.
All right, Heartwood, email me, nicole@thewoodwhisperer.com.
Yeah, we're going to have to package this thing in a way that's safe, so it arrives safe and you're safe when you get it.
I have so many things to ship
please
out.
enjoy
If
it.
you've won anything, you haven't gotten it. I promise this whole week with him being sick is kind of throw me off.
You want some backside sandpaper? Comment in the chat, backside.
Backside.
All right, let's kill some time.
I've been favoriting things. Someone asked, DSE,
Yeah,
said, when's the next Wood Talk?
that was supposed to be this Wednesday. We do like to go every other week. We got a little bit behind in editing, so it's going to be this coming Wednesday.
This coming Wednesday?
Yeah. Still 2 episodes per month.
Yeah.
We just had to push back to the last week in the month.
And then you have Apo going, has enough water gone under the bridge for you to tell us what happened to the Festool sponsorship? Just curious.
Well, if you go to,
Festool,
No.
not Powermatic.
yeah, but if you go to the Wood Whisperer, go to the search. Type,
Oh, yeah.
what happened with Festool? I answered that pretty soon after it happened.
Yeah.
I'm pretty
Nothing-
sure.
I mean, it was just a change in management, too. I mean, companies change people all the time.
Well, yeah, so I'm going to disconnect my phone,
disconnect.
disconnect. I'm going to double check. Yeah, I mean, none of this ever comes down to I did something wrong, I got in trouble, I said something I shouldn't say. It usually doesn't come down to that. It comes down to where they're spending their marketing dollars. And if at some point someone is now in charge who doesn't feel that the allocation of those funds to one particular person is profitable anymore, then they have to stop. So this is why when you look at you could look at our sponsorships and you go, oh my God, what happened to the Wood Whisperer? He used to have 3 sponsors. Everything has changed.
Yeah.
It makes no sense for a company to spend, I'm not going to tell you how much, but to spend X amount of dollars on a single individual when they could just throw out like jelly beans tools to a bunch of influencers who will then promote it. And the cumulative effect across all of those channels for giving them a free portable table saw is amazing. And you may not have to pay anything other than the cost of goods for producing those tools, right? So the marketing strategies have changed, and the PBS model is no longer valid. Companies don't want to do that. It doesn't make any sense to do that because there's 10,000 norms out there now. You don't need one norm if you've got 10,000 who will take a free tool and promote your tool, right? It just doesn't make any sense. So yeah, there is an article
Oh, look at you.
from 20. What
Look at you.
are you trying to say?
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
You're cute.
I think what you're saying is I'm old now.
Well, we're both old.
2015 Apo that says what happened with Festool. So both of our big sponsorships, Festool and then Powermatic, both of them received the treatment of explaining to the audience what happened so that there isn't any bad blood there, right? Now, I do think with Festool, I did rock the boat a couple of times with some of the things they made clear where I was maybe talked about the DeWalt track saw a little too much, or I maybe was a little too honest about my opinions. There was a particular person who no longer works there that didn't like some of those things. So I think I kind of pushed us off the ledge a little bit, but ultimately, business is business, and it would be incredibly unprofessional of me to speak poorly about a company that supported us for years.
Yeah, Festool and Powermatic
Why would I do
both.
that? Yeah.
I mean, they're the reason why we were here.
Well, and one of the main connections we had to Festool that went away was Michael, who now has his own company with Calavera. So the leather aprons and all the leather goods. Michael was the VP of marketing at the time and really liked us and was very helpful. And he was instrumental in our relationship. And once he left, that started to dwindle, right?
I love that Tim is trying to get a domino.
Doing the best he can, hoping that we're gonna.
Tim, I like your spunk.
Yeah, we're trying to force that giveaway to happen.
All right, so we got a lot of backsides in here.
Oh.
Do you want to give
I
that away?
I forgot that's what we were doing.
And you'll get a guild project with this too. So.
Okay. I'm going to pick.
right.
Oh, I was
right.
looking. I was cheating.
Yeah, don't cheat.
I'm like,
ready?
Who's got the best looking avatar?
Okay.
Stop. Stop.
Okay, we got Jason Goodrich.
Jason Goodrich.
Sunset.
Hey, actually, I like that that logo.
Yeah, that's
That's
nice.
beautiful. Saw blade and a tree.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Jason Goodrich.
This is 400 and 150.
Okay.
2 packs.
Okay, 2 packs and a guild project. Email me, Nicole@thewoodwhisperer.com.
Yep. Does he get a guild project?
Yeah,
too?
he gets a guild project.
Guild course. Okay.
Any course you want. And then here, we'll pick another one from backside and we'll do another
pack of backside?
Yeah, and a guild project. Ready?
Stop.
Ah!
Oh, you skipped.
I didn't mean to skip.
Where'd it go?
Where'd it go?
We're gonna have to pick again.
No.
They don't know who they are, so they're not upset
No,
yet.
they're not upset yet.
We didn't say anything.
I'm fine. I saw the. There it is.
That
That one right there.
CAZWorks.
CAZWorks Woodworking. You get some backside sandpaper and a guild project.
And another great logo with a blade and a tree.
Yeah.
Just a cross section of a tree.
And I'm putting my email in the chat. So
Yes.
it's Nicole, Nicole
Look at us.
@thewoodwhisperer.com.
Finishing 4 minutes ahead of time.
I'm sweaty.
Oh,
so
I
I'm
need
kind of glad that we're ending a little early.
I need to get some medicine.
Yeah, you're not
pumped into my veins.
Oh wait, let me just make sure there was no other super chats that came in. Oh, yep, one came in.
Okay, go ahead.
Gary said, "I would love to hear your thoughts on Star Wars Outlaws."
Let's end the show with that.
Okay.
Okay. This is video game talk. If this isn't interesting to you,
There's no after show. Somebody even said, "Bring back the after show."
no after show, at least not yet. But this would be something we would talk about in the after show. So Star Wars Outlaws. It is a game that is full of bugs that you pay
Like
$69.
Bethesda.
Yeah, you pay $69 for, and it's a AAA title that should not come to the public in this state. It's got serious mission-breaking problems. There's issues that are just clunky as hell. It doesn't come across as a game that Ubisoft, a company that has really kind of mastered the stealth format in
with
Assassin's Creed. It's not like they don't have people that work there or that they have connections to with other studios that they could say, hey, how do you guys do this? It's clunky. The shooting is rough. The missions are okay. But here's the thing, there's so many fun Easter eggs. I was going through a vent. I'm crawling through a vent, and I see some light coming
Do you
through.
get claustrophobic when you do stuff like that?
No.
I
Put me in a vent all day long. I'm crawling through this vent, and I decide to look to my left because I see some light. I look out the vent. Boba Fett is having a meeting with some guy. He's not in the game. You don't interact with him. I don't have to do anything with him.
just
It's an
watching him?
Easter egg. He's just having a conversation with somebody. I'm like, there's damn Boba Fett over there. I get to play I don't want to spoil anything, so maybe I should stop saying. There's little Easter eggs that are really, really super cool. And here's how I grew to love the game. Because I was like, how can I pay this much for a AAA title and accept this many bugs? And I'm like, I do it all the time when it's a Bethesda game. But it's Ubisoft, and I expect something different from Ubisoft. So I said, well, what if someone told me this game was made by Bethesda? This was a Star Wars Elder Scrolls game, right? And it was like a Skyrim type game, but made by Bethesda. Then I would be like, well, it's a Bethesda game. There's supposed to be bugs. And it's sprawling and missions coming out of my butthole. There's just so much to do in this game. So when I framed it that way, I suddenly started to enjoy the game more because I expect that kind of behavior from a Bethesda title. I don't expect it from Ubisoft. So all of the faults aside, all of the bugs, all of the botched saves, the freezes, all the crap that keeps happening.
Did it crash?
It's crashed multiple times.
I've lost a few things.
I've had to go back to old saves to
Yeah.
kind of recover. There's bugged quests that I can't finish. But again, it's a Bethesda thing, not an Ubisoft thing,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So that's my review of Star Wars Outlaws that nobody asked
Just
for.
frame your expectations.
That's what I said. I'm like, I accept this from Bethesda. Why? Because we all go, it's a Bethesda game. You expect bugs, like Fallout 76, which was a buggy game for 2 years before they actually made it good, right? Okay. So that's my review. Hey, listen, thanks for listening to that. If you stuck around for that. You guys with the super chats and everything, that really is, it's huge. It's really huge to us. We certainly appreciate the support. So thank you very much for contributing You know, it's a tough time for everybody.
Yeah.
So you giving us a few bucks means a lot.
So yeah, we'll be back here. If you're a guild member, I sent out an email yesterday to just the guild people that have signed up for the newsletter for the guild.
Yes.
So if you didn't get it, it means you're not signed up. So we're moving the day and the time for the guild meetings, which is a once a month meeting where we talk about guild news.
Highlight the community.
It's really a community highlight meeting, but it's going to be on Tuesday evening. Because I sent out a survey, and if you would like to add your thoughts on when the guild meeting should be done, fill out that survey. I posted a link in the Facebook group. I posted it in Discord. Oh, I haven't put it in the community. I need to put it in the community too.
Yeah.
So.
Cyberpunk 2077. Talk about a game that had a redemption story. I actually re-downloaded it because I want to play the expansion on that.
What?
One.
Cyberpunk?
Yeah, that was like an absolute disaster release.
Yeah, I didn't play that early on.
Yeah, it's a good game.
Is that with Keanu Reeves?
Yes.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
a good game. It's a good story. There's a lot of
Whoa.
Not really, but Johnny Silverhand is pretty cool. Okay.
right.
Thank you, everybody.
Have a great weekend.
Have a wonderful weekend. We'll see you next time.